Hi, everyone. My name is Lawrence Whitfield, and my purpose today is to give some introductory uh, use of the Geogebra tool, which is a fun and effective tool for teaching math. By way of introduction, I'm a bit of an amateur, but I have done some self-study, lots of trial and error with emphasis on the error. I believe that if you spend 5 minutes looking at this video, you'll get some nice overview of some of the features. I'm assuming that you already have an account and that you can already log in. So please press the pause video and go ahead and get logged into Geogebra, and then we'll proceed. So welcome back. I trust that you have logged into Geogebra. Now you should land on a screen like this, and we are going to go to the Geogebra Classic. There are two ways to get there. You can either use this waffle as the so-called, or you can use this link. If you use the waffle, which is what I'm going to do, you will see this little pull down and you choose from here. So before we actually go to Geogebra, here's the use case that we're going to use as our example. It's more about learning Geogebra than it is about learning math. But I expect that most high school students may be familiar with this, but if you're not, that's a good way to learn about this as well. We want to use Geogebra to illustrate that x squared plus y squared equals 25, which is a circle, can be expressed as 5 cosine theta, comma, 5 sine theta, where theta is the angle between the x-axis and the radius formed by the point in question and the center of the circle. So if that little bit of math seems overwhelming, please don't be alarmed. It'll all become clear as we go. So let's head on over to Geogebra. All right, so I've already logged in, and I trust that you have as well. So I'm going to go into Geogebra Classic. Now, the first thing we're going to do is to draw a circle in two different ways. So the first way we can draw a circle is to make a point at the center. So we'll call that 0, 0, 0. And so I typed that on my keyboard, or we could have used this on-screen keyboard down here. So I'm just going to hit enter, and there you see it appear as A. So this, when I came in, I used the input box over here to enter my first point, and you can go ahead and do that as well. So the first way and the easiest way to draw a circle is this. If you, along here, now we'll stop with a little bit of navigation. Along here, make sure you pay attention which one of them is in blue, whether it's this or this, and then there's different functions under each one. When you want to move around or click, don't forget to go back and kind of bring your cursor back, otherwise you'll make a second zero. So, second circle. So let's make our circle. The one we would like to use is circle with center and radius. In our case, now when you click it, notice down in the lower left, you'll see a little black box. It's gone now, but you'll see it come up for a minute that, that tells you what it is you're going to have to do. So it says to select the center of our circle, which we said was the origin. Let's make sure we're on the right one. Yep. Circle, center, and radius. So we're going to click here, and now it's going to say, what do you want to use for radius? So let us choose 5, and there's our circle. Now, as I said, remember, look at that, it's asking me for another one. Come back over here, click here, or press escape to make it go away. All right, we can center a little bit here. So we have a circle of radius 5. Notice that it made this other point B, because I had failed to take my own advice, so I'm going to delete that. All right, so, however, this isn't the circle that I want to use. So I'm going to delete I'm going to delete the circle, but I'll keep the center for now. We may want it later. All right, now let's make another circle. So here's my cursor, and unfortunately, I can't really figure out how to annotate and use my cursor, but we will come back to the input box, and here comes the on-screen keyboard, which is very valuable. If the on-screen keyboard doesn't come up, you'll see it way down here in the left corner, a tiny little keyboard. If you click on that, it'll make the on-screen keyboard arrive. So let's do our equation. X squared plus Y. So I'm clicking the letter Y, and then I'm coming down to this little box that says squared. And then I'm going to do the equal sign. And then I'm going to type in 25. And notice how it's kind of interactive as we go. And then I'm going to press this button here, which is like hitting enter. Now I'm going to close this. All right. So what I want to do here is just show you a couple of things. First of all, let's save our work. So do save your work fairly often. It is nice that this is in the cloud. I recently replaced my laptop and didn't lose any of my several dozen or over 100 projects that I've done. But unlike Google Drive or OneDrive, Microsoft, there's no autosave here. So do save it every now and then. So I'm going to call it, you come with your own name, but I'm going to call it circle with point. And then I'm going to press save. So let's remember to press save every now and then. Now, another little bit of housekeeping. We're going to talk about the settings. So far we have two objects here. If I click on here, and I can make that go away just by clicking, I click on the three dots and go to setting. So this is now my point A. Let's turn the label off. And while we're at it, I'm going to keep this settings open. If I come back over here on the left, I choose my next object. Now it's called equation 1 or EQ1, and it gives my definition here. And I'm also going to turn the label off. I just have a thing about having the label on. But that was a chance to show you a little bit how the settings work, and we will be going back into settings from time to time. Now, one of the things that I've found the most fun about Geogebra is its ability to simulate animation or movement. And that makes a lot of things very interesting. So the next thing we're going to do at this point is go here and make what is called a slider. So I'm going to choose the slider, which is this button right here. It's called slider. And it says, where do you want to put it? I'm going to put it right here. Now I want to have an angle because we could do that. Now it calls it alpha by default. Let's stick to our guns and change it to theta. Now, right now, I've got my slider screen open. If you look down in the lower left, there's my friend, the on-screen keyboard. So I'm going to click on the on-screen keyboard, and for some reason it is not coming up. Cancel. All right, let's try that again. I'm going to insert my slider. Let's put it right here. I'm going to make it an angle from 0 to 360 degrees. And I'm just going to leave it as alpha. We'll have to leave that for another day. My apologies, but there's lots of things that we can learn about. All right, now we have this slider, but it's not connected to anything. So all we have to do is come here and make another point. And what we're going to do is, remember on our first introductory slide, we said that we were going to say 5 cosine of, now I'm going to use this, hopefully it'll come up. All right, so I'm going to use left bracket. So, and it filled in both the left and the right. So cosine of what? If we go to this one called ABC, down here we get our Greek letters, and there we're going to choose alpha. So if I had it to do over again, I would, in my introductory slide, used alpha because somehow I stumbled on my ability to make it theta, but that doesn't change much, it does it. Then we'll make a comma. Then we'll make 5 sine of, open bracket. Oh, sorry, that typing I was just doing on my laptop. Now I'm going to come back over to the on-screen keyboard and choose alpha. So this gives me a point. And that point is B. So the fun thing is that now we can see, so let's do something else, sorry. I'm going to come back over to here so that I don't make another point. And let's go under the line. So if you go across here, you'll see as you're playing around, there's so many choices under each one of these options. Here I'm going to choose something called a segment. And it says to select 2 points or a position. So I'm going to select the center, and our point. So again, before we do anything else, let's go back over and click here so that we do not end up making another segment. And because it just bugs me that those labels are on, I'm going to go to settings, and I could turn the object off, but we want to be able to see the object. So I'm just going to turn the label off, and now we don't see that little F. Now, sometimes you might want those labels if you're doing something complicated, so you can keep track of which object is which. Then the fun begins. I can either manually move it around over here, or I can move alpha over here, and then you press pause. So to me, that's kind of fun. We're at 130 degrees. Let's get back into the first quadrant where we've spent most of our lives probably. Now, let us show alpha. I don't know that it'll give it a name of alpha, but there's a place, it's under this one, where we can choose an angle. So it says select 3 points or 2 lines. Okay, before we do that, then we need to, let's fill in this point over here on the x-axis. So that would be open bracket. I'm typing on my keyboard of my laptop, but you could use the on-screen 5, 0, and I'm going to strike the enter key. And now we have our 3 points. So now let's go back and go to this angle, and we'll select our 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And it gave it a different name, and wouldn't you know it, it went the other way around. Anyway, let's turn that off. I didn't see that coming. Let's do this then, if we were doing this with our students. Under the move, you can do a freehand shape. And what I've done in the past is just kind of do like this, although that's going to be a fixed item. And then you could come back over here, go change it back to this. What we could do is there is a text box that we can do. So we're going to choose, like, let's say right here, and then we could type our alpha in here, which is going to be right here. So that's not all that, we really should have moved it like down in here. So that's a way we could show our students, look, when it's this angle of alpha, then this point will have these coordinates. Well, those 2 items aren't going to move, so let's just turn them off. Well, you see, I made my same mistake if I didn't go back and get my cursor activated. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the freehand, and I'm going to turn off the text. But that's really the end of it. Now I'm going to show a couple more things, and then I'll wrap up. I think I'm getting a little over my 5-minute goal. If I come to, I remember when I was talking about the settings. So if the circle is highlighted, I can do right click and bring on the settings, and I can do various items. Let me do one fun thing with our segment we made, which was F. So I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to turn on trace. So that'll now trace out our angle alpha. So we can just do like this, and we can see that it's tracing it out. Or we can turn that off, take the trace away, and we could go to our point B, and we could show the trace with that one, and it will trace out the circle. So that's really our illustration that we're tracing out our circle. All right, let me turn that off and then just show you a couple more things, and then we'll wrap. Turn off show trace. So those are how to work on the settings of the objects. If you want to work on the settings of the environment, you go into this area. And by the way, let's save again, because we haven't done that in a while. And then we're going to go to the settings here. These settings refer to the entire area. So if I choose, there's a couple that I want to show you. If I choose this button, so I got here by doing settings, and I chose this little button here, and it does something interesting. Actually, I'm going to do this one first, whatever this little squiggly here is. Show the objects by construction order. Now watch the left and watch where my cursor is. If I choose object type, instead of showing them in the order I made them, it shows them in alphabetical order with my angle at top, my slider, and then my conic, which is my circle. Then it has all the functions. Then it has all my points and my text. And that's quite helpful if you start having, you know, all kinds of objects and you're having a hard time finding them. The other last item I'll show you about the settings is in here. It's not easy to see, but here there's a background color. So if you wanted to make this a light gray in the background, you could. So if you wanted it to have white objects with a gray background, you could do that. Well, I think we've had a pretty good introduction and it's been several minutes, so I'm just going to wrap up here. Thanks for listening.